Hi babes, I'm doing another podcast. You guys seem to really like the last one I did. So yeah, I just thought I'd do another one, talk about everything I've been up to, talk about the patterns that I have coming up. I'm currently sat next to like the biggest pile of whips and finished pieces and all sorts of stuff going on over here that I can't wait to talk through. And yeah, just talk about what I've been up to, what's coming up. I thought I'd have a chat through my knitting bag. Like what do people do on podcasts? So I'm just gonna talk about stuff. So yeah, thanks for joining. I'm wearing a t-shirt modded version of my Jasper jumper that I did. I knitted it like months ago in the middle of winter, and this is really the first time I've been able to crack it out, and I'm absolutely loving it. I think this pattern works really nicely with like modded short sleeves. I think these sleeves are about 15 or 20 centimeters long. I didn't make any other changes apart from to the sleeve length, and then I just sort of did the ribbing and cast it off as normal. And it's so cute. You get this kind of little puffy t-shirt sleeve. So I'll put a link to the Jasper jumper in the description so that you guys can go check it out if you want to do like a summery version, or perhaps you've already knitted a wintry version and you want to try a little t-shirt version. Like, go ahead, it's going to be super cute. The people at Arcane Fiberworks sent me some of their nice chunky merino to test out, and this is what I ended up making with it. It's sort of like a fade of, I think it was 5 different yarns. Yeah, there's like 2 different yellows, a sort of multicolour, and 2 different blues that I sort of faded out into stripes, and I think it's worked super nicely. And of course merino is kind of perfect for like awkward springtime weather when you want to sort of have a layer to keep yourself warm, but you also want to be cool in case it gets a little bit hot. Like, yeah, I'm talking weather like I'm British. Yeah, we do small talk about the weather. Like, this is what you signed up for. But yeah, like, check out the pattern if you want to make one too. I think it's super cute. What should we go through first? Should I talk about the pattern I have coming out on Friday, this Friday? It's the bucket hat. This is the buttercup bucket hat. It's like the cutest little hat. I'm obsessed with it. This one is made with like some scraps that I had lying around, but the actual pattern is for like 2 strands of 4-ply yarn. What's the American version? Fingering yarn? Fingering weight yarn? 2 strands of 4-ply like held double on 3.5mm needles, and then it's all worked in rib in the round. They're so quick and easy to make. Like, it's literally just doing rounds of rib and then working 1 row of decreases for the brim, and then you're working like incremental decreases for the top of the hat. And it's just super satisfying to sort of work a little scrappy project like this. It's a real stash buster, and I don't know, I just wanted to do like a knitted version of a bucket hat. I guess I see like so many crochet bucket hats, and obviously I wish I was a crocheter, but that's never going to happen. Like, I'm never going to be able to read a crochet pattern. So yeah, I thought I'd just do a little knitted version. Yeah, it's super easy. Like, if you can work rib, I think you'd be able to work this pattern. It really just uses like the basics of like knit purl, knit 2 together, slip 1, knit 1, pass slip stitched over. And then there's a sort of, I don't know if you can see, but there's like a sort of 3 stitch decrease. Like, what do we call this? Turning 3 stitches into 1 on the brim. So the pattern sort of explains how to do that. That's about the most complicated thing you'll have to do. And that's just sort of taking, slipping 1, knit 2 together, and then taking the slip stitch over the knit 2 together. So really nothing complicated. and you can like knit a hat over the weekend and have it ready for the summer, guys. I made this one, like the main sort of lovely purpley lilac yarn is I think it's 70% bamboo, 30% wool. So it has this lovely sort of structure and drape, but the bamboo means it's still like kind of cool enough to wear in the summer. And yeah, I can't wait for it to get nice and warm, and I'm just gonna wear my bucket hat everywhere. So yeah, that will be coming out this Friday. I'm just waiting on my testers to finish up, and yeah, it's all going to be ready to go. So yeah, this link is going to be in the description for that pattern. Super excited for you to see it all. Like, it's been so much fun working on a hat for once. I think I only have one other hat pattern, which is the Mabel beanie, which is just like a really cute standard beanie with like the color changing technique. So it's been so nice to work on accessories again, because I haven't done that in so long, and it's just so plain sailing compared to like working on a garment pattern where you have to do a lot of shaping and grading, and it's a lot more involved, sort of designing garments in that way. It was just a lovely break to just be like, right, I'm just gonna do a simple bucket hat, one size fits all, like, let's go. And yeah, I think I just needed a little break from all of the grading, and it was just such a joy, and I think you're gonna have so much fun knitting it as well. Like, yeah, it's such a fun summery pattern. It's just making me like want to go to a barbecue and like drink a margarita. The other one I wanted to talk about, I know I have like a tutorial video for this, but I don't think I've ever actually shown it on a video. This is the On My Bobble jumper pattern. I released this maybe like a month ago now. What is time? But yeah, this is, you know, using like classic color change technique, but it also uses some fisherman's rib and some bobbles. I'm a sucker for like a big textured chunky stitch, like I absolutely love it, and I got really addicted to knitting bobbles when I was making this. So yeah, this is, you know, it uses all of those techniques. It's got the knit one belows that make that chunky sort of fisherman rib, then you're going to purl a couple, then you're going to work some bobbles in a sort of staggered pattern. It's great if you're like a sucker for a textured stitch like me and you just want like a really fun, colourful, chunky project. So yeah, check that one out. I just kind of wanted to show it off on the video, even though it's like an older pattern now. I mean, older, it's like a month old, but yeah. So yeah, love that one. It's in 8 sizes up to a 5XL. And I'm super proud of it. I don't often do like a super stitchy pattern. Like, if you're familiar with my work, I'm, you know, a lover of a simple stocking stitch or like a garter stitch or something, just all over. And then my main focus is just, you know, changing the colours and making it super bright and colourful and exciting in that way. So it was nice to take a break from just doing rounds and rounds of stocking stitch to actually do like a nice bit of pattern. And of course add in the colour as well, because why not? The other thing I've been doing, guys, I've been crocheting. It's like once a year that I get the itch to crochet and I have to scratch it. Even though I'm terrible at crocheting, like as I said before, like I'm never gonna follow a crochet pattern. I don't know how to read a crochet pattern. I can do 2 crochet stitches. I think it's like, or maybe 3. I think it's like a single crochet, a double crochet, and a treble crochet. Wouldn't be able to confidently tell you which one is which. Like, if there's a gun to my head and I have to name a crochet stitch, like, tell my family I love them. But I can do a granny square. I can do a granny square. I just kind of have a big pile of granny squares. Debbie Bliss sent me some of their yarn to try. It's like, again, this gorgeous chunky merino. yeah, they sponsored me, but I actually like this yarn, so I'm not just saying it because they sponsored me. It's like actually really gorgeous, and they have like a really nice range of colours. Like obviously I'm gonna go for a hot pink. So I just thought I'd crochet some bits out of it because I only really had 300 grams, which wasn't going to be enough to do like a sweater or anything. So originally I had the idea to like crochet a little cover for my ottoman. Then I realised that wasn't quite gonna fit, and I didn't have the technical knowledge to work out how it was gonna fit or like change the granny square. So I took all of those granny squares and I decided like I'll just make like a little tabard sort of tunic vest thing. In my mind it looks amazing. In my mind I'm gonna like pick up and knit the sleeve trim, like a little rib along the sleeves, and it will have nice little bows on the side so I can just wear it as like a slip over a shirt, which I think would be really cute to wear to work and kind of be smart but crafty, like crafty executive realness. But yeah, like keep tuned in, stay tuned, because it's probably going to take me like a year to actually get around to finishing this, because it's only like every now and again that I'm like, oh, I'm really like craving some crochet. And I think even just knitting like this many granny squares, even crocheting this many granny squares sort of scratched that itch for another year. So let's see if it ever gets done, or what it becomes, or what these granny squares evolve into in a few months' time. Yeah, who knows? But yeah, that yarn's gorge. I love the colours. There's yeah, like a nice sort of tealy blue that I liked, and this nice lilac-y purple as well. So yeah, crochet edit, we love it. And then I thought I'd just talk through a couple of the pieces that are on the website right now. So this is like my favorite thing that I've knitted in so long. Like the colors, the textures, guys, like I mixed in all of the chunky textured yarns and the mohairs, and I was just really wanting to knit something that was like just very, very deconstructed. Like I just wanted to leave the sort of roll trims, just like a cast on, cast off edge. And I also did the outside seams. So you can see I've sort of like crocheted the seams so that you can just see the outside and the edge of the knitting, which I really wanted to focus on. I don't know, I was just, oh, there's a crochet square there. I was just really like in my simplicity era, I guess. So yeah, this one's gorge. I've posted some pics of it on my Instagram. I can't believe nobody's bloody bought it yet. Like, are you serious? This is like a piece of art. So yeah, check it out on my website if you want to take it off my hands. If not, I might just actually keep it for myself. I'm obsessed with this one. And then last piece that I had to go through, this was sort of in the same kind of vein, but like a little bit more toned down for me, wouldn't you say? Like a bit more neutrals, a more restricted colour palette. I love that this is like a restricted colour palette for me, and it's still like 8 colours. But yeah, I was just loving the mohair. Again, I just wanted to do like the real simple cast off edge and have those little exposed outside seams. That's like a detail that I'm absolutely loving at the minute. Yeah, all of the seams are just sort of crocheted so they stand out and look really deconstructed. I just love it. And yeah, if you can see, there's like a little side panel in there, so it's sort of like fitting together different rectangles, because the sleeve is just a rectangle sort of set in, and then you have this like little side insert panel which is just a rectangle, And then really the only like knitting, the only knitting technique that you have to do is just like shaping the neck. So I'm kind of keen to do a pattern for this one actually. Like a few people asked for it, and I wasn't initially going to do one, but I think I'm going to, just because it seems super beginner friendly, and I know like everybody loves a beginner friendly pattern, especially when it has some kind of cool techniques to add a little bit of a flair to it that a lot of beginner patterns don't necessarily have. Like a lot of beginner patterns are just like some garter stitch, some stocking stitch, which is fine. Like obviously that's what I love, obsessed with simple stitches, but you know, when you add little details like the outside crochet seams or like adding in a side panel like that, I think it's just a little bit more interesting. It makes a beginner pattern yeah, more interesting to follow, and just add some new techniques that are super easy and simple, but you know, add something new to your repertoire as a beginner. I think that's super cool. So yeah, both of those pieces are somehow still available on my website. And I thought I'd just talk through, this is the piece that kind of inspired them. Have great charity shops where I live, always find like gorgeous pieces that sort of inspire my designs. So very often I'll just like grab a sample when I see it, and I'll bring it home and like measure it, and I'll base a shape off of it, or I'll, you know, try and copy like a stitch or use it as inspiration. So yeah, this one, I mean, I think it's kind of felted. I'm sure it was like a bit bigger than this originally. You can sort of see where somebody's maybe accidentally washed it a little bit too hot and the stitches have like seized up. But again, like I just love the shape. It has this like set in rectangular sleeve, and that's where I sort of got the inspiration from to do like a rectangle block sleeve and a side insert. And again, I love this sleeve. I might do something sort of with this kind of sleeve shape. It's super cool. Just like a weird like leg of mutton sleeve. Like you know, I'm obsessed with big sleeves. I love like a big ostentatious sleeve moment. So that's it. I mean, even something with that like horizontal knit, because this is sort of knit going across. So you can see where it's got these like little ripply stripes banded in. I mean, there's so much inspiration from this one piece. You could base like 5 different pieces off it. So yeah, love it. Thank you to the person who donated this to the Cancer Research Shop. Love. Okay, so that's all of my finished objects slash future patterns slash whips. What was I going to talk through now? Oh, I can talk through another whip that I have. This one's been a little bit of a headache, both like morally and yarn wise. I kind of wanted to do, it's all still in panels, but I kind of wanted to do a cute little saddle sleeve moment, like a kind of coming up like that. So you have the band of the sleeve between the front and the back panel. And this yarn is just gorge. I think it's like an alpaca mohair wool mix. Like it's so pretty. This purple color is everything. I love it. It might be my favorite color in the world right now. And you can kind of see the fuzz, you can see all of the hairs, which is my favorite thing on a yarn, when you can like really, you know, see what you're working with. But yeah, it's a machine yarn, annoyingly. So it comes on this big cone. So there's no real hand knitting equivalent. So your girl has had to do so much maths to like figure out what the equivalent hand knitting yarn would be, so I can like actually write a pattern with it. It's basically similar to like a chunky or a bulky yarn. Like it took me all the way back to uni days and like working with an NM number, which is like the weight per kilo. Oh my gosh, what is it? It's the weight. Oh my gosh. Could I even confidently tell you what an NM number is? I did have to look all of this up to like do the calculations, but it's like the weight of 1,000 meters of this yarn, or like how many meters in a kilo of this yarn. It's something like that. So yeah, once you've worked out, you know, how much a meter of the yarn weighs, then you've essentially got the yardage, and then you can find like the equivalent in a hand knitting yarn. But you guys know my patterns are never like super strict with like what yarn you have to use. Essentially, I just like to give the tension and like a suggested needle size, and then I'm like, just find the equivalent, you know, as long as you're sort of knitting at the right tension so the measurements of the pattern aren't going to be off. Like, just use up whatever scraps you have, you know, you can make it work. Like, my patterns aren't super strict like that. So, you know, as long as there's like a rough guide for what you can do with the pattern, I'm not going to be like super strict with it. I might try and make another version of the pattern in like a actual hand knit like chunky yarn to sort of get a feel for what it would be like in a different kind of yarn, a different kind of weight, or a different blend, because obviously this is kind of, you know, loose and airy and it's very fluffy, so be interesting to see what the pattern would look like in, you know, like a merino or a wool or even like an acrylic. Yeah, or even, you know, like marling two strands of DK or 2 strands of Aran or something together. I'll have to like do some experiments. This is still in like the very nascent stage of development. But yeah, this yarn came from a company that shall remain nameless that I was supposed to be doing a little bit of work with, and yeah, they kind of sucked and they were really rude to me and were really disorganized and kind of disrespectful to my time. And they ended up like giving me a bunch of free yarn to take away to sort of brainstorm about the project with. So I'm just going to use them, which I feel great about. Okay, what else did I want to talk about? Yeah, shout out to the warmer weather, because I've just been able to wash some of my jumpers and have them dry in like a reasonable time frame and not just leave them drying for like 2 weeks. So like, it sounds super boring, but that's what I've been doing for the past 2 weeks since it finally kind of got warm here. Everything is getting a nice hand wash, a rinse, and then it's just getting dried and eventually put away for the summer, like when it's actually, you know, consistently above 12 degrees. So that's a nice little spring project for you. Yeah, wash and put away all of your knits, babes. I'll take you through my new favourite thing, which is my needle case. I've posted about it on Instagram, but I can do like a proper video of it. But this is what I treated myself to for my 31st birthday. I wanted like a really gorgeous, proper heirloom, like knitting case for all of my needles and all of my notions. Because I was just carrying everything around in like the plastic, like interchangeable needle case. And I was like, this cannot be. This needs to stop. Like, I'm a professional. Like, this is my business. I should be taking this seriously. So I got this gorgeous custom made leather case. Yeah, it's like a lovely forest green. I don't know if it might look a little bit different on camera. I remember when I was taking pictures of it, it looked like super dark, but it's lovely. And it comes with like a little insert for all of your stitch markers and needles and things, like a little pouch. It's super cute. And then the actual like needle insert just comes completely out, and I even got it monogrammed. CLM, so cute. Made me feel like a real like Pinterest girly. And then I always keep my yarn wraps, even if I'm not gonna like use that yarn for anything. I'm just like, what if I need the information? What if I need to know like what temperature to wash it at? So yeah, I just use like a really basic set of Knit Pro interchangeable needles. Everybody always asks me for like needle recommendations, and I never want to give a needle recommendation because it's something that's like super personal. Like I personally don't like knitting with like plastic needles or metal needles. Like I hate the noise, I hate the feeling of it. I think it's like a very sensory thing, and it's totally like up to your preference what you want to use to knit. Like lots of people love the feeling of aluminium needles. Not for me personally. I just love, you know, classic wooden needles, super simple. I think like if you're somebody who's kind of interested in knitting and you want to like step it up a little bit, investing in a nice set of interchangeable needles is a really easy, fun way to do that. They're just like so useful. They just make life so much simpler. I think they're so much easier on your hands rather than using like big long pins like the traditional knitting needles. It's just so much lighter to just like use a cable and the little interchangeable points. Another absolute must in a knitting kit is like a big eye darning needle. Use that for sewing in your ends, mending things. I also carry like a few different sizes of crochet hook in here too, because I like to crochet up my seams, you know, or actually crochet a couple of granny squares when I can be bothered or have the urge to. I have these lovely little knitting snips that my boyfriend's mum got me for Christmas, such a cute gift. Always carry those. It's like so much easier than having a big pair of craft scissors, although I do have those too. I got the big IKEA shears, if you know, you know. And also another handy thing, if you've got like a set of interchangeable points, and mine don't have the number printed on them. Like sometimes you can get ones with like the little needle number or like the millimeter number engraved in or printed on. Mine, I think they did have that initially, but I think I've like just worn it off because I've used them so much. So just get yourself one of these, which is like you stick your needles through it and it tells you what millimeter they are. I think you can also use that for measuring like a tension square, but I just always use just a normal tape measure. So yeah, that's my knitting kit. I mean, it's nothing fancy, it's nothing super special. I have a few different lengths of cables, which are basically just the ones that like came with the pack of needles. And if I ever need like a shorter cable, like I honestly just use a magic loop. I'm never going to be bothered to like buy a tiny little cable and do that. I'm always just gonna like use what I have and find a way around. So yeah, I'll link to the shop on Etsy where I got this gorgeous leather bag. I don't think they have an Instagram or anything because they're based in the Ukraine, but 100% recommend, like go check them out. Like this is such gorgeous quality. I think it was the equivalent in like pounds, it was like £120 with like the engraving and everything, and maybe like a little bit more for shipping obviously, but like for the craftsmanship and for like the quality of it, like I think that's such a steal. I think it's amazing. Yeah, I can't recommend enough. You should all go get one. And yeah, what else have we got on the agenda? Oh, okay, I'll tell you about the sort of academic side of life at the minute, because my other job when I'm not designing knitwear is tutoring and lecturing at Nottingham Trent University, which is fantastic. I absolutely love it. That's truly like, I have my two dream jobs. Like I couldn't be happier with how things have turned out for me career-wise. Yeah, it's amazing. And one of the things that we are invited to do each year as like members of the fashion and textiles faculty is present a research paper at the school symposium. So a symposium is just sort of a day where there's lots of little talks, and you know, you choose which one of the talks that you go to, which one of the presentations that you want to see, and you know, some of the staff members will just be presenting, you know, what they've been researching, what they've been working on. Some of the PhD candidates will be like presenting a little bit of their PhD research. It's always such a great day. It's always so inspiring. I try to go to as many talks as possible and sort of see what everyone else has been working on, and like, yeah, it's just super inspiring to see like the academic community and all of the different things that people have put together, because no doubt it's often very different to my own, but you can always learn something. And usually even when you're going to a talk that feels like it's going to be something so different to what you do, it always ends up being like linked in all of these little interesting ways, and that's kind of what I love. You find out that we're not so different, we're all interested in the same sort of things. So I actually did a paper on selling sunset this year. I've wanted for so long to write a paper about all of the reality TV that I watch, because I watch so much. Like obviously a lot of the time running a knitwear design business, you are just sat knitting for a long time, for long periods, and there's no way around it. You just gotta sort of sit and knit, and that involves like taking in a lot of content, whether that be like YouTube, podcasts, Netflix, whatever it might be. And obviously I love like trashy reality TV. I watch all of those like trash Netflix shows. I absolutely adore them. I'm like fully in the lore. Like I watched Love is Blind recently and it just consumed me. I was like taking in all the TikToks, I was taking in all of the tea YouTube channels, I was watching people react to it. I was in like full like hyper real like constructed reality mode. I was like living through that show, which I'm not ashamed about. I loved it. So yeah, I just wanted to do like a paper on selling sunset. I won't go into like all of the sort of academic theories. I mean, if you want me to do like a second sort of video reading the paper and going into all of the theories that I went into, like I will do that. If enough of you want that. I just don't know how many people are here tuning into the knitting podcast for like the academic breakdown of selling sunset. But yeah, let me know if you do want that. I'll just read the paper. I'd be happy to. But yeah, I find it such an interesting way to sort of view feminism and view femininity in the year 2023. You know, when feminism is sort of so contested at the moment, and you know, it's all girl bossified, and we've sort of moved away from that idea of feminism being about something that is, you know, for the greater good, that the community comes together to fight for like social justice. And lots of critics have sort of said that feminism these days is much more about like, you know, that struggle to have it all and balance your work life and your family life and your well-being, and how competently you can do that on an individual level. And feminism these days often gets framed in those kinds of terms, which, you know, I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm saying it's an interesting way to view culture and how female narratives are sort of represented. And I love reality TV as predominantly something that showcases female narratives and is enjoyed by women. Obviously there's guys who enjoy reality TV too, but I think it's predominantly something that speaks about women to women. So viewing femininity in that sort of light is, again, like super interesting to me. So yeah, the paper just focused on how women are portrayed in that show, especially Christine, because she is, you know, the default villain, and how she is styled and how she presents herself is so interesting compared to the other girlies. And that's almost something I could research into a little bit more as well, sort of like how villains are portrayed as like non-normative in their style and in the way they express themselves through fashion. And yeah, I just saw the other day that like season 6 has just been announced, which I cannot wait for. I think that's coming up in like 2 or 3 weeks, so might have to write a second paper about that. Yeah, podcast spin-off, Selling Sunset analysis. Who's down for it? Like, let me know. Let's do it. Yeah, and another thing that I did was like an academic night out with, not night out, it was like a night event with somebody who's been really inspirational to me in my academic sort of career, who's Amy Twigger-Holroyd, and she's in charge of the sort of the Fashion Fictions project. You might have seen me talk about this a little bit back in January and February on my Instagram, when I was talking about the material mindfulness. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember what it was called then. I was like, it was the Making Mindfulness, the Material Mindfulness Challenge, which was where we sort of took 2 weeks to delve into the sort of details of our clothing, to sort of see how they were made, how could they be mended, how could their lives be extended, you know, what are the details of these clothing and what do they mean? And it sort of involved each day having a little prompt, you know, like those Instagram challenges. So you had a little prompt each day about sort of, you know, what you could think about as you're getting dressed. It was things like zip and blue and fray and pockets. So a little word to have in mind to inspire your outfit or give you some inspiration for, you know, how you were gonna wear and style that outfit. And I had so much fun with it. Like I've been meaning to, I haven't got around to it yet, but I've been meaning to like make myself a little challenge, sort of inspired by the Material Mindfulness Challenge, because it was super fun, and just a really interesting way to get dressed rather than just like pulling on jeans and a jumper every day. I was like, oh, what's this thing that I haven't worn for ages that is interesting and goes with this prompt? So yeah, I think I should get on that, because it's super fun. And yeah, I digress. So Amy Twigger-Holroyd, who runs that project and is one of the professors of sustainable fashion at Nottingham Trent University, I went to her events where she had some really inspirational speakers sort of talking about sustainable fashion futures and how can we get there and how can we change the way that we think about fashion and our relationship with fashion, to sort of, you know, reach a more sustainable relationship. And Annabella Pollen was there, she was talking about I don't exactly know how to pronounce this, but there was this sort of activist group in the 20s called the Kibokith, Kibokith, and they sort of lived in the south of England, and they camped and they made these incredible outfits with all of these textiles, and you know, they wanted to live in harmony with the earth, and their outfits were like a way of doing that. And just Google some of the outfits that they made, because they were so damn cool, and like compared to what you imagine fashion being at that time, it's just like totally flips that on its head. You know, they're wearing colours, they're proclaiming their activism through all of these patterns and shapes and outfits, which I just loved. I found that super, super cool, and just a really unique and interesting way of thinking about like the clothes that we wear. So yeah, such an amazing night. Always have a great time with Amy's talks and Amy's research, and just like her point of view about fashion in general. Again, I'll put a little link down to the Fashion Fictions project in the bio, because I think if you're into my work and you're into, you know, sustainable fashion, you'll probably find it really interesting, and yeah, maybe want to get involved a little bit, or just like read a little bit more about it. It's all to do with just imagining a sustainable future, and different creative, insightful ways to get there. And one of the speakers, Kate, I can't remember her surname, I apologise, but yeah, Kate was talking about a commitment theory, and how we can be more committed to, you know, how we engage, not just with fashion, but with social media and the internet. And you know, like Patreon is a commitment theory, sort of getting people to subscribe and pay a little bit, because that shows that they're buying in and they're incentivized to engage with that content. And I found that to be such an interesting way of looking at social media in general, like how to get people to commit and be fully present and invested in what you have to say, you know, not just mindlessly scrolling through the app and just, you know, tapping and not really taking any of it in. And I've just been sort of thinking about ways that I can do that in my content a little bit more. I don't know if that might be like setting up a Patreon. I've never really wanted to like charge people to view my content, but I really love the idea of, you know, having that mutual commitment to what I'm saying and what I'm doing. But I think really, while I'm sort of like pondering that, you know, there's lots of different ways to get people to commit. And I think one of the things that I have sort of thought about is just being more intentional within the content that I'm making, and being more committed to like my own content and what I'm putting out there. Because I think I was very much, well, and I still am, it's really hard to get out of that mindset of like, oh, getting more engagement and getting more likes and getting more followers. And I think I'm trying to just like bash that out of myself, because it's so unhealthy, and it's no way to be like thinking about my work and the worth of my work, and measuring how people perceive my work through just like numbers on a screen isn't a healthy way to think about it either. Because I surely hope that the impact of my work goes beyond just like somebody tapping it on their phone. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna, who knows like how this will progress and evolve and change, but I think for now I'm just gonna be a little bit more intentional about what I put out there. Like for instance, just posting random pictures all the time on Instagram doesn't feel super intentional for me at the minute, and it doesn't feel like I'm being committed to that content. It just feels at the minute like I'm just throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what will stick, and I'm much more preferring at the moment just sort of like sitting down, making this time to like make a video, talk about what I've been doing, so that it inhabits a space beyond just like a picture on a screen, and I can be like more intentional about what I'm saying and how I explain myself and my work. Yeah, beyond just like a little Instagram post which people just instantly scroll past. So I hope that makes sense. It's just more of like a commitment to myself and my work as well, and how I want it to be viewed. That's not saying I'm not going to post on Instagram anymore. I'm just going to be more intentional about how and what I'm posting, and I'm stopping myself before I start thinking about like, oh, is this going to get likes? Is this going to get views? Like, how many followers have I got? I'm just trying to like very much cleanse all of that. Like, if you've managed to do that, tell me how, because it's really hard, especially when your job is essentially like reliant on you posting on social media and like getting engagement and getting my patterns and my website out there. It's really hard, but I think it's going to be a much healthier, much nicer, more wholesome way of viewing the world. So with that said, I'll leave with like a few intentions of what I would like my summer to be like. I mean, I want to knit loads. I have like so many ideas always of like things that I want to knit and things that I want to make, and I always have like a bunch of whips and a bunch of patterns in the pipeline. So it's going to be like a really fun creative summer. I'm going to get a bunch of patterns ready to launch for like the autumn, which, you know, I probably won't be launching like that many patterns or that much stuff over the summer because it's just quieter. I mean, nobody wants to knit like a big chunky sweater in the August. Well, maybe you do, like, let me know if that's your thing. Just knitting a big chunky sweater in the sunshine. Go for it, babe. I want to learn to spin yarn. I think that's going to be something that I want to achieve for myself. I've wanted to do that for so long, and I don't know why I've been putting it off, because it seems like it would just be, you know, perfect, a super fun thing to do, and fit so nicely with the rest of like my creative life. And I really want to sort of recycle all of the yarn ends that I've been saving in a big bag since, you know, I started the business. Essentially, I have like a big bin bag in like a cupboard just filled with little snips of yarn. So if I can learn how to spin and sort of incorporate those snips of yarn into a new yarn, oh, like, okay, yarnception, like yarn squared, I love that. So yeah, that's an intention for my summer. Maybe that's something I get on, you know. University is sort of slowing down now, the year is coming to an end. I'm just gonna have the summer to like dedicate to my craft and my business, which feels amazing, and also slightly daunting. It's like, oh, long summer, and no structure. I have to like make myself a structure to keep. But yeah, that's really all I have to say for today. Please like subscribe, please like, please comment, follow me on Instagram at theknitedit, where I'll, you know, maybe be posting a little bit less, but maybe what you see from me will be more intentional and more committed. And yeah, have a have a beautiful knitty time until the next podcast. Okay, mwah.